There's a quiet truth, hiding in plain sight. Most people spend their entire lives overlooking it, rushing past it like a whisper carried by the wind. We're taught from childhood to think harder, to plan more carefully, to gather enough knowledge so we can control life. But here's the secret no one ever told us. Reality doesn't respond to what you think, it responds to what you feel. You can read every self-help book ever written. You can repeat affirmations until your voice grows hoarse. You can sit cross-legged on a meditation cushion for hours each day. But if, deep down, your heart is still vibrating with fear, with lack, with doubt, you're only sending out a mixed signal to the universe. It's like trying to play two songs at the same time on the same radio. Nothing but static comes through. In the quantum world, every possibility already exists. Imagine it like a vast ocean with countless waves, each one a different version of your life. There's a wave where you're abundant and free, another where you're deeply loved, another where you're still stuck in struggle. These waves are always there, right beside you. But here's the thing, only one wave rises to meet you, the one your body already believes is real. It's not your intellect that chooses it. It's not your willpower, or how many vision boards you have hanging on the wall. It's the quiet, constant vibration of your inner world, the feeling you come back to again and again, especially when no one's watching. That feeling is your signal, your broadcast to the field of energy that surrounds us all. Think about it. If you say, "I trust life," but your body is tight with anxiety, what do you think the universe hears? It doesn't hear the pretty words. It hears the tension, the doubt, the unspoken story humming beneath your skin. That's why so many people work so hard, yet see no real change. They're speaking one language with their mind and another with their heart. And in the end, it's always the heart that wins. This is why knowledge alone isn't enough. You can't just think your way into a new reality. It's like trying to plant a garden by standing at the edge of the soil and shouting instructions. The seeds won't grow because they need water, sunlight, warmth. They need life. And in the same way, your thoughts need the living force of emotion to take root and bloom into experience. When you feel something deeply, truly feel it in your bones, you're sending out a powerful signal to the quantum field. It's as if you've tuned your whole being to one specific channel, and the universe has no choice but to respond. That's why moments of genuine joy, gratitude, or peace can change everything so quickly. They don't just lift your mood. They literally shift the timeline you're standing on. The trouble is, most of us don't realize how much of our emotional energy is stuck in the past. Old pain, old memories, old patterns. It's like dragging around a suitcase full of clothes that no longer fit. You keep saying you want to step into a new life, but your body is still dressed for the old one. And so you repeat the same cycles. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system hasn't been taught what safety and joy actually feel like yet. Here's the liberating truth. You don't need to fight your way there. You don't need to control, to force, to endlessly fix yourself. The doorway to a new reality opens when you allow yourself to feel it first. Before the proof, before the circumstances line up, when you give yourself permission to feel love even when no one is there yet. To feel abundance even when the numbers don't add up. To feel freedom while you're still standing inside the cage. Because that feeling is the key. It's the only key that ever mattered. When you live as though it's already real, the world has no choice but to follow. So maybe today, instead of trying to figure it all out, you simply pause, place your hand on your heart, take a breath, and whisper to yourself, what if it's already done? What if all I need to do right now is feel it? And in that moment, quiet, simple, sincere, you begin to shift. The static fades. The right song begins to play. And for the first time, you realize that reality isn't something you chase. It's something you embody. It's something you allow. 1. Emotion is the signal that programs reality. There comes a moment when you finally realize that your emotions are not just feelings passing through your body. They are instructions. They are commands sent out into the invisible fabric of the universe. Most of us grow up believing that our emotions are just side effects, something to be managed or hidden. We're told, don't cry, don't be angry, stay positive. And so, we treat our emotions like small, private storms inside our chest, thinking they don't really matter as long as we can keep a calm face on the outside. But here's the truth that changed everything. For me, your emotion is the very language the universe listens to. When you feel fear, you are not simply feeling afraid. You are announcing to the quantum field that fear is your reality. You're broadcasting a signal that says, this is what's true for me. This is where I live. And the universe, like a mirror, reflects it back to you without judgment. Not because it wants to hurt you, but because it cannot do anything else. It's like standing in front of a perfectly still lake. The reflection doesn't choose what to show. It simply gives back what is presented to it. This is why fear feels so heavy and repetitive. When you live inside it, and speak from it, and move through life with it clinging to your skin, the field around you organizes itself to validate that fear. You see more reasons to be afraid. You attract more experiences that match that frequency. And you begin to believe the story even more deeply, until fear becomes the air you breathe. But the same rule applies to joy, gratitude, and love. When you choose to feel joy before there is a reason, you are sending out a different signal, one that collapses reality into a version where joy already exists. It's like you're opening a door to a timeline where you are already safe, already free, already whole. And as strange as it might sound, the universe responds not to your circumstances, but to the emotion you bring into this moment. Think about the last time you were truly grateful, not because something happened, but because you simply decided to notice the miracle of being alive. Maybe it was the way the sunlight fell across your kitchen table in the early morning. Maybe it was a stranger's smile, or the simple rhythm of your own breathing. In that moment, didn't the world seem softer? Didn't everything feel more possible? That shift wasn't random. It was you tuning your body and your energy to a different frequency, and the world rearranged itself in response. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's not about forcing yourself to be positive when you're hurting inside. It's about understanding that your feeling is a creative force, not a reaction to whatever happens outside of you. Your emotion is like the brush painting the canvas of your life. Each stroke, each shade, shapes the picture that eventually becomes your reality. When you paint with fear, the picture grows dark and chaotic. When you paint with love, gratitude, and peace, a very different image begins to appear. I know this can sound too simple, especially when life feels hard. You might be thinking, how can I feel free when I'm trapped? How can I feel abundant when I can barely pay my bills? And I understand that pain. I've been in those places, nights where the walls felt like they were closing in, where every breath carried the weight of uncertainty. In those moments, feeling anything other than fear seemed impossible. But here's what I learned. You don't have to leap from fear to joy in one giant step. You only need to take one small shift at a time. Start by finding a single thought, a single memory, a single image that brings a hint of relief, like seeing a crack of light under a locked door. Breathe into that light. Let it expand, slowly and gently. The more you do this, the more your body learns what safety, peace, and gratitude feel like. And as your body learns, the universe listens. Over time, this practice becomes a way of life. Fear may still knock at your door, but it won't set up camp inside your home anymore. Instead, you'll find yourself naturally radiating a different signal, one of stability, trust, and quiet strength, and the world will respond in kind. Not because you forced it to, but because you became a living match to the reality you've been longing for. So remember this, your emotions are not random. They are instructions written in the language of energy. The moment you choose to feel differently, even in the smallest way, you begin to rewrite the story the universe tells about you. And little by little, reality will shift to match the new signal you're sending out, until one day, you look around and realize that the life you once dreamed of has quietly become your new normal. 2. Change begins within, feeling it before you see it. Most of us have been taught to live life backwards. We wait. We wait for the job offer. Before we allow ourselves to feel secure, we wait for someone to say, "I love you." Before we let our hearts open, we wait for the numbers in the bank account to change before we feel free. And in that waiting, we unknowingly send out a message to the universe. I am not ready yet. My happiness depends on something outside of me. But here's the deeper truth, the one that took me years of struggle to finally understand. You must feel it first, and then you will see it. This isn't wishful thinking or some trick of the mind. It's the way the universe itself is designed. The quantum field doesn't bring you what you want simply because you want it. It brings you what you already embody, what your body and spirit have accepted as real. Think of it like tuning an old radio. The music is already playing on many different frequencies at once, but you only hear the song you've tuned yourself to. Life works the same way. The love, the abundance, the peace you're longing for, it already exists. Right here, right now, on a different frequency. You don't create it by effort or willpower. You tune yourself to it through feeling. Most people get stuck because they are waiting for external evidence to give them permission to feel differently. They think, when I have more money, then I'll feel secure. Or, when my body heals, then I'll feel grateful. But this keeps you trapped in a loop, because the outer world can only reflect the inner state you're broadcasting. Waiting for proof is like staring into a mirror and saying, "Smile first, and then I'll smile back." It will never happen that way. Real change begins when you dare to reverse that pattern. When you wake up each morning and choose to feel the way you want to feel, even before there's any logical reason. It might feel awkward at first, like wearing a new pair of shoes that haven't been broken in. Your old self will resist. It will whisper, "Who are you kidding? Look around." Nothing's different. But that resistance is just the echo of the past, trying to keep you in familiar territory. If you keep going, if you keep choosing to feel, to embody the state of your desired life, eventually, it stops feeling like pretending, and it starts feeling like home. I remember a time when I was deeply lost, drowning in uncertainty. Every day, I checked the world around me for signs that things were getting better. And every day, I found more evidence of the opposite. It was like walking in circles inside a dark room, bumping into the same walls again and again. One day, in absolute exhaustion, I stopped. I sat down, closed my eyes, and imagined what it would feel like if the weight I was carrying simply lifted. Not because it actually had, but because, for a moment, I gave myself permission to feel light again. At first, it was just a faint glimmer, a breath, a single heartbeat of relief. But I stayed with it. I breathed into it. Day after day, I returned to that feeling, letting it grow stronger, letting my body learn what safety and freedom felt like. And slowly, the world around me began to shift. Opportunities appeared where there had been none. Conversations changed. Even the way people looked at me seemed different. It was as if reality itself was rearranging to match the frequency I had been nurturing inside all along. This is not about faking it or denying your current pain. It's about teaching your body and mind a new story. When you consistently feel as though the new life is already here, you are reprogramming your nervous system. Your cells begin to recognize a different set point. Your subconscious stops clinging to the past. And before long, the outside world has no choice but to reflect what has become natural on the inside. Imagine a child learning to ride a bicycle. At first, it's clumsy and unnatural. They wobble, they fall, they want to quit. But with practice, their muscles remember. One day, they ride effortlessly, without even thinking about balance. This is how embodiment works. Feeling it before you see it may feel forced in the beginning, but with patience, it becomes automatic, your new normal. So today, instead of waiting for proof, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Ask yourself, if it were already done, if my desire had already come true, how would I feel right now then? Let that feeling rise gently inside you, like the first warm rays of sunlight breaking through a cold dawn. Stay there, even for a few moments, because every time you choose to feel before you see, you are laying another brick on the invisible bridge between who you are now and who you are becoming. And one day, without warning, you will open your eyes and realize the world didn't change first. You did. And because you changed, everything else had to follow. 3. The body remembers old emotions and broadcasts the old reality. So many of us believe we are living in the present moment. We think that because the calendar says today, because we are breathing and moving through this day, we are here, now. But if you look closely, if you sit in stillness and listen, you might notice something startling. Most of what you feel today didn't begin today. That anxiety you carry in your chest, that tightness in your stomach, that heavy sigh you let out before you even speak a word. These are echoes. They are the voices of yesterday, last year, sometimes even décadas ago. A painful breakup, a moment of deep shame, a betrayal you never saw coming, a cruel comment someone made when you were young. These memories don't just live in your mind, they live in your body. And your body, like a loyal servant, keeps replaying them over and over, long after the original moment has passed. You see, the body doesn't always know the difference between then and now. When you recall a painful memory, your body reacts as though it is happening all over again. Your nervous system floods with the same chemicals. Your heart races the same way. Your muscles tense, preparing for danger that isn't even there anymore. And slowly, without realizing it, this becomes your normal. You wake up each day thinking you are making new choices, living a new life. But beneath the surface, your body is still broadcasting the same old signal, the signal of the past. It's like trying to tune into a new radio station, while an old one is still playing loudly in the background. No matter how clearly you speak new affirmations, no matter how beautifully you visualize your dream life, the old song of pain and fear drowns them out. And because the universe responds to the vibration you hold most consistently, it mirrors that old song back to you. You meet the same kinds of people. You run into the same challenges. You feel stuck, frustrated, wondering why nothing changes. It's not because you're cursed or broken. It's simply because your body hasn't learned a new way to feel yet. I've been there myself. There was a time when I thought I had moved on from my past because my mind said so. I told myself, I'm done with that chapter. I've healed. I've forgiven. But then, something small would happen. A certain look, a familiar tone of voice, a particular smell in the air, and suddenly, I was right back in the storm. My heart pounding, my palms sweating, my thoughts racing with the same old fears. That was when I realized my mind may have moved on, but my body was still living in yesterday. The body clings to the familiar, even when it hurts. It does this because, in a strange way, it believes it is keeping you safe. Just like a child hiding under a blanket during a thunderstorm. Your body thinks, if I keep replaying this, at least I know what to expect. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. So, without your conscious awareness. Your body holds on to old emotions, like treasured possessions, broadcasting them out into the field of reality, day and night. This is why no amount of positive thinking alone can truly change your life. You can tell yourself 1,000 times, "I am free. I am worthy. I am loved." But if your body is still vibrating with memories of being abandoned, shamed, or unseen, it will keep sending out that old signal, and the quantum field, like an impartial mirror, will keep reflecting it back to you. The beautiful news is this: you are not trapped forever. The body can learn a new language. Just as it memorized fear, it can memorize peace. Just as it learned to tense and brace for impact, it can learn to soften and open again. But it takes gentle, patient work. It takes showing up for yourself day after day, teaching your body that it is safe to feel something new. It might begin with something as simple as a breath. One deep, conscious breath where you place a hand over your heart and whisper to your own nervous system, "We are safe now." That was then. This is now. At first, your body won't believe you. It will resist. It will want to run back to the old story. But if you keep returning, keep breathing, keep choosing new feelings, even if only for a few seconds at a time, slowly, the old patterns begin to loosen their grip. And here's where the magic happens. As your body learns to feel differently, the signal you broadcast begins to shift. And when your signal changes, your reality has no choice but to change too. New people enter your life. New opportunities appear. The world starts to respond to who you are becoming, not who you used to be. So if you've been wondering why it feels like you're living the same story again and again, pause and listen, not just with your mind, but with your whole being. Ask yourself, what emotions am I still carrying that no longer belong to me? Because until you teach your body a new way to feel, you will keep repeating the same old song. But the moment you begin to change that inner melody, you begin to step into a future that's been waiting for you all along. 4. Your familiar emotional frequency shapes the timeline you live in. There is a quiet rhythm beneath everything you do, a hum that plays just under the surface of your life. Most people never stop to notice it, but it's there in the way you breathe, the way you move, the way you respond to the smallest moments. That rhythm is your emotional frequency, and it decides which version of reality you are tuned into. Moment by moment, you can dream of a brighter future. You can sit with your eyes closed and picture yourself free, abundant, at peace. And those visions can be beautiful, a glimpse of what's truly possible for you. But if deep inside, your body is still vibrating with fear, scarcity, or doubt, it's like trying to listen to a soft, gentle melody while a loud, chaotic drum is pounding in the background. The louder rhythm always wins. And so, no matter how much you want change, your life keeps reflecting what you feel most often. Reality does not respond to what you wish for, or even what you imagine for a few quiet minutes each day. It responds to the emotional tone that dominates your inner world, especially when you are not paying attention. This is why so many people feel frustrated and disheartened. They practice manifestation techniques. They say their affirmations, visualize their desires, yet nothing seems to shift. It's not because the universe is ignoring them, or because they are somehow unworthy. It's because the core frequency hasn't changed. Imagine two different radio stations broadcasting at the same time. One plays music of fear and lack, the kind of songs you've been listening to for years without even realizing it. The other plays the music of freedom, love, and abundance. The station you tune into isn't chosen by your mind alone. It's chosen by your nervous system, your habits, and the emotions you return to over and over again. Even if you think you're tuning into love and abundance, if your body is still wired to the old signal of fear and survival, that's the music that will fill your life. This is why willpower often fails. You can think positively all day, But if you feel anxious underneath, it's like painting over a cracked wall without fixing the foundation. Eventually, the cracks show through. Your true frequency is revealed not in what you say out loud, but in what you silently embody when no one is watching. I know this truth can feel heavy at first. It can feel like a harsh mirror, reflecting back all the places where you've been stuck. But there's also something deeply empowering here. Because if your familiar frequency has been unconsciously shaping your timeline, that means you have the power to choose a new one. The same way you learn to live in fear, you can teach yourself to live in trust. The same way your body memorized scarcity, it can memorize abundance. The key is consistency. Think of it like learning a new language. At first, every word feels awkward and unfamiliar. You stumble, you forget, and you want to quit. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. One day, you catch yourself speaking fluently without even thinking. Emotional frequency works the same way. At first, choosing gratitude or calm might feel forced. Your old self will protest, whispering, "This isn't real. Look at the facts." But if you keep showing up, keep practicing the feeling you wish to live in, eventually, it becomes your new baseline. Let me share an image that helped me understand this. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a great river. The water is rushing in one direction fast, powerful, unrelenting. This current represents your familiar emotional frequency. If it's a current of fear or doubt, every action you take will be swept up and carried along with it, no matter how much effort you put in. But if you patiently begin to shift that current, even a little at a time, the flow of the river itself changes. And when the current changes, your entire experience of life changes with it. This is why manifestation isn't about doing more. It's not about endlessly repeating affirmations or chasing external signs. It's about becoming someone new on the inside, until your outside world has no choice but to reflect that change. You don't force the mirror to show you a different reflection. You simply become the person who naturally creates a different image. So if you've been working hard and wondering why nothing seems to move, pause and look within. Ask yourself gently, what frequency am I most familiar with? What emotion feels like home? Even if it hurts, that is the signal shaping your reality today. And here's the hope: the moment you begin to nurture a new feeling, a new frequency, even for just a few minutes, each day you start to rewire the very foundation of your life. Over time, this becomes the dominant signal. And when that happens, the future you've been longing for doesn't just appear like magic. It was always there, waiting. You finally tuned yourself to hear its song. 5. Aligning the mind and heart to create true coherence. There's a quiet power that lives inside each of us, a kind of inner harmony that, once found, changes everything. But for most of our lives, we live divided: our mind pulling us one way, our heart pulling us another. Our thoughts say, "I am safe," while our body trembles with old fear. We whisper, "I am worthy." But deep inside, a hidden voice insists, "I don't deserve this." This inner conflict creates static, like a radio caught between two stations. And in that static, our signal to the universe gets lost. Dr. Joe Dispenza speaks of a state called coherence, a beautiful word that means harmony, alignment, wholeness. When your mind and your heart begin to move in the same direction, something extraordinary happens. Your body starts to emit a powerful, organized electromagnetic field. This isn't just poetic language. It's measurable science. Researchers can literally see the difference. When a person enters a coherent state, the patterns of the heart and brain, once chaotic and fragmented, begin to sync, like dancers moving perfectly in step. And here's what's truly remarkable. In this state, you are no longer just a physical body walking through the world. You become a living broadcast, a transmitter sending out a clear, steady signal to the quantum field. The universe, in turn, responds with precision, matching you to realities that reflect that signal. This is why alignment matters so deeply. It's not about simply thinking positive thoughts or forcing yourself to feel happy. It's about creating genuine harmony between what you think and what you feel. Gratitude, peace, love. These emotions aren't just nice ideas. They are frequencies. When you feel them fully, your body shifts at a biological level. Your hormone is balanced, your immune system strengthens, even your brain waves change, moving into a more expansive, receptive state. It's as if your entire being becomes an open doorway through which new possibilities can flow. And these possibilities aren't random. They align perfectly with the emotional tone you've chosen to embody. Think about it like tuning a musical instrument. If a guitar string is out of tune, no matter how beautifully you play, the song will sound off. But when you carefully adjust it, even a simple note rings clear and true. Your life works the same way. When your mind is saying one thing and your heart is feeling another, there's dissonance, a kind of spiritual out-of-tune state. You might be taking action, doing all the right things on the outside, but the music doesn't flow. Life feels heavy, stuck, unresponsive. The moment you bring those two parts of yourself into alignment, though, something shifts. The same actions suddenly carry power. Opportunities appear, relationships heal. It's not that the world has changed overnight, it's that you've begun to play in tune with it. I've experienced this firsthand. There was a time when my mind was full of affirmations and plans, but my heart was still carrying wounds I hadn't faced. I kept pushing forward, telling myself to stay positive, but deep down, a quiet ache remained. It wasn't until I finally paused, really paused, and sat with that ache, breathing into it, listening to what it had to say, that the healing began. As I allowed myself to feel instead of resist, my heart softened. Slowly, my thoughts and emotions began to match. The inner static faded, and a calm clarity took its place. Not long after, the outer world began to reflect that calm. Conversations flowed more easily. Decisions felt natural. Even my body felt lighter, as though it had been carrying invisible weights that were finally released. This is the doorway to new timelines, to new versions of yourself and your life. When your mind and heart are coherent, you don't have to fight or struggle. You don't have to convince the universe of anything. You simply become a match to the future you've been longing for, and reality reorganizes itself around you. So how do you begin this process? Start simply. Take a few minutes each day to close your eyes and bring your attention to your heart. Breathe slowly and deeply, imagining each breath flowing in and out through that space. As you breathe, bring to mind a feeling of gratitude, not for something huge, but for something small and true. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of a loved one's laugh, the fact that you are here, breathing, alive in this very moment. Let that feeling fill you. Notice how your body responds, how your thoughts begin to quiet. In those moments, you are aligning. You are tuning your instrument. You are becoming coherent. And each time you practice, the signal grows stronger, clearer. Over time, you'll find that you no longer need to chase change or force outcomes. Instead, you'll stand in the center of your life like a lighthouse, steady and bright, naturally attracting the reality that matches your light. When mind and heart move as one, you stop being a seeker and become a creator. And in that state, you realize something profound. The future you desire isn't somewhere far away. It's right here, waiting for you to align with it, waiting for you to remember the beautiful truth that was always inside you. 6. Emotion as the password to unlock a new timeline. Imagine standing in a long hallway lined with countless doors. Behind each door lies a different version of your life, one filled with love and connection, another marked by struggle and fear, another where abundance flows freely, and yet another where you feel completely at peace with yourself and the world. Every single one of these possibilities exists, right here, right now, but all of them are locked. And here's the surprising truth. The key to each door is not thought, it's emotion. We've been taught to believe that if we think hard enough, plan carefully enough, or repeat the right words, the door will open. But no matter how many times you say, "I am safe, I am abundant, I am loved," if deep inside you still feel unsafe, unworthy, or alone, the door remains firmly shut. Because the universe isn't listening to your words, it's listening to the vibration beneath them. Your emotions are like passwords. When you feel true peace, it's as though you've entered the exact code needed to unlock the door to a life where peace already exists. When you feel abundance, not just think about it, but feel it in your body, you instantly access the timeline where abundance is natural, where it's your normal way of being. It's not magic, it's resonance. The outer world simply aligns with the inner signal you are consistently sending out. Think of a time you've tried to log into an account online. You might know the username perfectly. You can type it over and over, but without the right password, access is denied. In the same way, your thoughts and intentions are like the username. They identify what you want, but it's your emotion, your felt state, that acts as the password. Without it, the system doesn't recognize you. You remain locked out of the reality you desire, no matter how much effort you put in. This is why so many people feel stuck. They focus entirely on thinking their way to change, repeating affirmations, setting goals, creating vision boards while their inner emotional world stays exactly the same. It's like standing in front of a locked door, shouting at it, demanding it to open, but never realizing that the key has been in their pocket all along. I know this because I've done it myself. There was a time in my life when I said all the right things, acted as if I believed them, and yet, deep down, I was still carrying fear and scarcity. Outwardly, I was speaking the language of trust. Inwardly, my vibration told a very different story. The result, my life reflected my true, hidden frequency, not my spoken words. It was a painful lesson, but a necessary one. A reminder that life doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you are. So how do you shift into a new emotional state? It begins with presence, with noticing what you're actually feeling in this moment. So many of us move through our days on autopilot, repeating the same patterns without realizing it. We wake up and instantly tune into the familiar emotions of yesterday: worry, stress, disappointment. These feelings become so normal that we don't even question them. But the moment you pause and truly feel, even if what you feel is uncomfortable, you take back your power. You stop unconsciously entering the password for the old timeline, and you begin to choose a new one. Here's a simple practice. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Take a deep breath and bring to mind a version of your life you long for, not as a distant dream, but as if it's happening right now. Maybe it's a sense of calm in your body. Maybe it's a feeling of safety in your relationships, or the freedom to live without financial fear. Now, focus not on the picture, but on the feeling. Ask yourself gently, if this were already real, how would I feel in this moment then? Allow that feeling to rise, even if only faintly at first. Hold it, breathe into it, and let it grow. Each time you do this, you are entering a new password. You are unlocking a different door. And over time, as this feeling becomes more familiar, you'll notice subtle shifts. Opportunities appear that you once would have missed. Conversations unfold in surprising ways. You'll feel guided, supported, as if the universe is finally responding. because it is not to your words, not to your plans, but to your embodied state. The beauty of this truth is that you don't need to force or beg. You don't need to prove your worth or struggle to earn your place. You simply need to align with the feeling of the life you want, here and now. And when you do, the door swings open, effortlessly. Remember this: every possibility you've ever dreamed of is already here, waiting just behind the next door. The question is not whether it exists, it does. The question is, what emotion am I choosing today? Which password am I entering? Because the universe will always reflect back the code you give it. Change the feeling, and you change the timeline. And in that shift, you'll realize that the life you've been seeking was never locked away from you. It was waiting for you to remember. The key was always within. 7. The power of daily emotional practice. Real transformation isn't a single moment of magic. It's not something that happens once and stays forever. It is a living, breathing process, one that unfolds through consistent practice, day after day, breath after breath. So many of us have been conditioned to look for instant results. We try a new meditation, read an inspiring book, or experience a breakthrough. And for a while, we feel lighter. But then, life happens. Old triggers resurface. Old patterns reappear. And we slip back into the familiar ways of being. It's not because we failed. It's simply because our nervous system has been wired to those old emotions for years. Sometimes even decades. Just as a well-worn path through the forest takes time to overgrow and fade, your inner pathways need time and care to be rewired. Think of emotional practice like building a muscle. You wouldn't expect to lift weights once and wake up with lasting strength. You go to the gym regularly, repeating the movements, allowing your body to grow stronger over time. In the same way, every moment you choose to feel differently, you are strengthening your emotional core. You are creating a new default setting for your body and mind. At first, this practice may feel strange or even forced. If you've spent years living in worry, fear, or resentment, joy will feel unfamiliar, maybe even uncomfortable. That's perfectly normal. It's like learning to play an instrument. The first notes sound awkward and clumsy, but with patience, the melody begins to flow. Each time you return to a feeling of gratitude, peace, or freedom, even for just a few minutes, you are teaching your body a new song to play. This is why daily practice matters so deeply. It's not about faking positivity or ignoring what's real. It's about deliberately choosing the inner state you wish to embody, over and over, until it becomes second nature. When you feel gratitude in the midst of uncertainty, you are telling your body, "This is home now." When you breathe deeply and choose calm, instead of reacting with anger, you're showing your nervous system a different way to respond. And slowly, the old patterns lose their power. Neuroscience confirms this truth. Each time you repeat a feeling, you are literally building new neural pathways in your brain. The more you walk these new paths, the stronger they become. Over time, the old pathways of fear and scarcity grow weaker, like trails that are no longer traveled. Your body begins to see the new feeling as normal. And when that happens, something profound shifts. Your outer reality starts to mirror your inner transformation. I remember when I first began this practice in my own life, there were days when nothing seemed to be working. The outside world still looked the same bills, the same challenges, the same doubts. Part of me wanted to quit, but there was a quieter voice inside that whispered, "Keep going, just one breath, one moment at a time." So, I kept showing up. Each morning, before the world rushed in, I would close my eyes and practice feeling the life I longed for as if it were already here. Some days, it felt effortless. Other days, it was a struggle. But slowly, like the gradual changing of the seasons, I noticed something remarkable. My inner world felt different. And then, without warning, my outer world began to shift too. Opportunities appeared where there had been none. Relationships softened and healed. Even my body felt lighter, healthier, more alive. Not because I forced anything to happen, but because I had been training my emotional state every single day. Just like an athlete trains their body, the universe was simply responding to the new signal I was broadcasting. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't require perfection. You don't need to feel amazing every second of every day. You simply need to show up, again and again, choosing the feeling you wish to nurture, no matter how small or fleeting it may seem. Over time, those small moments stack up. They become your new baseline, the foundation of a reality that reflects who you are becoming. So today, instead of waiting for the world to give you a reason to feel joy, give yourself that reason now. Feel gratitude not because everything is perfect, but because you are alive, breathing, and free to choose your inner state. Feel peace even if there's chaos around you. Feel love even before it arrives. Because every time you practice, you are casting a vote for the life you want to live. And when those votes accumulate, reality itself has no choice but to follow. In this way, daily emotional practice becomes more than just a habit. It becomes the bridge between your present self and the future you've been longing for. 8. Stepping out of the past, loop through a simple ritual of feeling. There comes a time when words are no longer enough. You can read every book, repeat every affirmation, and tell yourself 1,000 times that you're ready for change. But deep down, nothing truly shifts. That's because the body doesn't speak the language of words. It speaks the language of experience. To break free from the loop of the past, you must feel your way into a new reality. And sometimes, the most profound transformation begins with something so simple, so quiet, that it almost feels too small to matter. This is where ritual comes in. Not a ritual filled with elaborate steps or mystical objects, but a gentle daily practice that brings you back to yourself. Think of it like a bridge between who you've been and who you are becoming. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to take long. It just needs to be consistent. Because every time you do it, you are teaching your body to stop reacting to the past and to begin embracing the future. Here's how it works. Find a space where you won't be disturbed, a quiet corner, a favorite chair, or even a spot under a tree. Sit down, close your eyes, and take a slow, deep breath. Feel the air entering your lungs, expanding your chest, and then leaving gently, like a soft tide rolling back to the ocean. With each breath, imagine you are releasing a little bit of the old story. You've been carrying the disappointments, the fears, the endless replay of what went wrong. Let them go, breath by breath. Now, bring your attention to your heart, not just as an organ that beats, but as the center of your being, the place where your deepest truth lives. At first, you might not feel anything, and that's okay. Stay with it. Your heart has been speaking to you all along. It just takes time to quiet the noise enough to hear it. As you rest in this space, stop thinking about what you want, and instead begin feeling as if it's already here. If you long for peace, don't just say the words, "I want peace." Ask yourself, if peace were my reality right now, how would my body feel? Would your shoulders soften? Would your breath deepen? Would there be a subtle warmth in your chest or a gentle lightness in your face? Allow those sensations to arise naturally, without forcing them. Even if they are faint at first, trust that they will grow stronger with practice. This question, what would it feel like to live this way, is a doorway. It shifts you from longing into embodiment, from lack into presence. You are no longer reaching for a distant future. You are rehearsing it, teaching your body to recognize it as familiar. And the more familiar it becomes, the more your outer world will begin to rearrange itself to match. At first, your mind will resist. It will whisper, "This isn't real. Look around you. Nothing has changed." That's normal. The mind has been programmed to believe only what it sees. But remember this, the body believes what it feels. If you stay with the feeling, if you return to it every day, you are planting seeds beneath the surface of your life. Just because you can't see them yet doesn't mean they aren't growing. Over time, this ritual becomes more than a practice. It becomes a sanctuary. It's where you come home to yourself, where you remind your nervous system that the past is over. Each time you sit in stillness and choose to feel the new reality, you are gently reprogramming your frequency. You are turning off the old signal of pain and fear, and broadcasting a new one of love, safety, and possibility. I remember when I first began this ritual, how awkward it felt. There were days I sat with my eyes closed and felt nothing but numbness or doubt. But slowly, little by little, something shifted. One day, instead of numbness, I felt a flicker of warmth in my chest. Another day, a soft wave of gratitude rose up without effort. These small moments became anchors, proof that I was no longer trapped in the past. And as I kept showing up, the feelings grew stronger, until they became a steady current flowing through me. This is how you break free from the old loop, not by fighting it, but by creating a stronger signal for the future. Your body stops reacting to what has been and starts responding to what's possible. It begins to expect the new timeline, and because the universe mirrors your inner state, life begins to meet you there. So don't underestimate the power of this simple practice. Close your eyes. Breathe. Feel it real. Each time you do, you are stepping further out of yesterday and deeper into the reality you've been longing for. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll open your eyes and find yourself standing fully inside the life you once only imagined. 9. Harmony. The secret to a new timeline unfolding. We spend so much of our lives chasing the prospians in your crosby pros and bolies, striving and trying to force things to happen. We push, we hustle, we repeat affirmations until the words lose all meaning. We think, if I just work harder, visualize stronger, or manifest perfectly, then my life will finally change. But what if the real secret isn't about doing more, but about becoming aligned inside? You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to erase every fear or silence every doubt. What you need is coherence, a gentle harmony between your thoughts, your emotions, and your energy. When these three elements are moving in the same direction, something profound happens. You stop needing to make things happen. Instead, they begin to happen through you, almost effortlessly. Think of a river flowing downstream. If the current is strong and unified, the water moves smoothly and powerfully. But if there are rocks and debris blocking the way, the flow becomes chaotic, creating turbulence and noise. Your inner world works the same way. When your thoughts say one thing, your heart feels another, and your energy is scattered, you create inner turbulence. It's exhausting because you are constantly fighting against yourself. This is why so many of us feel tired. Even when we haven't moved a muscle, the battle is happening inside. Coherence is like clearing the river of its blockages. When you bring your mind, heart, and energy into harmony, the flow returns. You no longer have to push so hard, because life begins to carry you. This isn't mystical or magical. It's simply the natural state of the universe. Just as gravity doesn't need your belief to function, coherence doesn't need effort to work. It simply is. When you are in harmony, manifestation stops being something you do and becomes something you are. You don't sit down to manifest wealth, love, or peace. You embody the state of being that naturally attracts those experiences. It's like a seed growing into a tree. It doesn't strain to sprout leaves. or force itself to reach the sun. It simply grows because that is its nature. And the environment responds in kind. You are the same. When you align internally, reality aligns externally. I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time when I believed the more techniques I used, the faster my life would change. I tried everything: scripting, vision boards, endless meditations. And while some of it brought temporary relief, deep down, I still felt disconnected. My mind was saying, I am abundant, but my body was humming with anxiety. My words declared, I am free, but my energy was tangled in fear. No matter how much I did, nothing stuck, because I was out of tune with myself. The turning point came not from doing more, but from doing less. One day, in complete exhaustion, I sat quietly and simply breathed. As I sat there, I began to notice the war inside me. All the pushing, all the grasping, all the ways I was split apart. And in that noticing, something softened. I didn't try to fix it. I didn't tell myself to think positive. I just allowed it to be. And slowly, like clouds parting after a storm, a calm clarity emerged. My mind, heart, and energy began to sink. And from that day forward, life started to shift, not because I forced it, but because I became coherent. Here's what's beautiful about this coherence. Doesn't require perfection. It's not about never having a negative thought or always being in a high vibration. It's about noticing when you are out of alignment and gently returning to center, over and over, like tuning a musical instrument. Each time you bring yourself back into harmony, the signal you send to the universe grows stronger, clearer. This is why some people seem to move through life with ease. It's not luck or privilege alone, it's alignment. Their inner world is a clear broadcast, and the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. When you are coherent, you don't chase timelines. You don't beg the universe to give you what you want. You become the version of you who already lives there. And the timeline unfolds naturally, like a path appearing beneath your feet as you walk. So today, instead of asking, how can I manifest faster? Ask yourself, where am I fragmented? Where are my thoughts, emotions, and energy pulling in different directions then? Breathe deeply and allow yourself to come back to harmony. Even a moment of coherence is powerful enough to begin changing the trajectory of your life. The truth is, this isn't magic at all. It's the most natural thing in the world. When the seed is ready, the tree grows. When the river is clear, the water flows. And when you are aligned within, the new timeline opens, not through struggle, but through the quiet, unstoppable force of harmony. Coming home to the present. There's a quiet relief in realizing you don't have to chase the future. You don't have to keep running toward a version of yourself that feels distant and unreachable. You don't need to spend your days scanning the horizon, waiting for a sign, a piece of evidence, or a miracle to finally tell you. It's happening now. The truth is far more compassionate, far more freeing. The future you long for already exists. It is not somewhere out there in a faraway place or a faraway time. It lives right here, in this moment, in the frequency you choose to embody today. Most of us have been taught to reverse this process. We wait for proof before we allow ourselves to feel different. We tell ourselves, when the money comes, then I'll feel safe. When the right person shows up, then I'll feel loved. When everything falls into place, then I'll finally breathe. But this waiting only delays the very reality we want to experience. It's like standing in front of a mirror and demanding, smile first, and then I'll smile back. The reflection will never change unless you change first. When you dare to feel now what you've been waiting to see, something extraordinary happens. You send a clear signal to the universe, one that cannot be ignored. You no longer speak to life in words or wishes alone. You speak in the language of vibration, and the universe, like a perfect echo, responds in kind. It doesn't do this out of reward or punishment. It simply mirrors what you have already chosen to become. This is why everything begins and ends with feeling. Not forced feeling, not pretending, but a genuine shift inside your heart and body when you allow yourself to feel love, peace, freedom, or abundance as if it were already here. You collapse the distance between you and that reality. You stop reaching and start embodying. And slowly, quietly, the world outside begins to rearrange itself to match the truth you've claimed within. I've lived both sides of this journey. I've known what it's like to chase and grasp and push for change, always hoping the next thing would finally bring relief. And I've known the exhaustion of realizing that, no matter how hard I worked, the finish line kept moving further away. It was only when I stopped running and turned inward that I discovered the secret was never about speed or effort. It was about alignment. It was about presence. It was about feeling the life I desired so deeply and so consistently that my body began to believe it was real. And when that happened, the outside world had no choice but to follow. This is not magic. It's the natural design of the universe. Just as a seed already contains the tree, your present moment already contains every version of your future. Your job is not to force the tree to grow, but to nurture the soil within yourself, to feel the life that's already waiting to emerge. So pause, right here, right now. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath. Ask yourself, if the life I long for were already mine, how would I feel in this very moment? Then allow that feeling to rise. No matter how subtle it may be, breathe into it. Rest in it. Let it become as natural as the rhythm of your heartbeat. Because when that feeling becomes your baseline, when it flows through you like air, the world outside shifts to reflect it. It cannot do otherwise. Reality doesn't create your feelings. Your feelings create reality. Every timeline, every possibility, every dream is waiting for you to tune to its frequency. And the moment you do, it appears. So don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for proof, for permission, or for everything to make sense first. Start now. In this breath, in this heartbeat. Don't just think, feel. Feel until it becomes who you are. And when it does, you'll look around and realize the future you've been chasing has been here all along, quietly waiting for you to claim it. Nothing becomes real until you feel it real. Nothing comes alive until you allow it to live within you first. And once you do, the outer world becomes nothing more than a mirror, faithfully reflecting the truth you've chosen to embody.